Excellent!
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Paul's Hardware. Thanks for stopping by today. I think you'll be glad that you did, because I have a GeForce GTX 780 Ti graphics card just here to my left. So today's video, I'm going to be taking you through some of the detailed specs of the card, giving you a nice close-up look of it, and Kyle actually ran some benchmarks on this card. I was able to coerce him into entering his benchmark numbers onto my shared spreadsheet. So I'll be sharing some competitive benchmark numbers as well. So thanks to Kyle for his 780 Ti benchmarks. If you want to check out Kyle's channel, he's probably doing a video on this as well over on his channel, Awesome Sauce News. So go ahead and click the link if you want to see more of Kyle. In the meantime, let's go ahead and take a closer look at NVIDIA's newest GPU. Now physically, you're probably going to notice that this card bears a striking resemblance to the GTX Titan, the GTX 780, and the GTX 770. Basically, it's just about exactly the same card. You've got the same PCB layout. The GPU is still based on the GK110, although it is the maximum size possible for that particular piece of silicon. And then they've also gone and made a few more slight adjustments. You might notice the title of the card itself, GTX 780 Ti, has some dark printing on it, so it stands out a bit more. And then they've also gone and done what looks like a bit of powder coating on the aluminum fins underneath the see-through window that you can see right there. So gives it kind of a darker look to it, and I'd say probably fitting for what is most likely going to be the last card, at least of a flagship nature from this series. Apart from that, you'll notice all of the familiar trappings, 6-pin and 8-pin PCI Express graphics connectors, dual SLI connectors for SLI configurations, and then the dark black PCB on the back and the black and silver heatsink shroud over the top. The GeForce GTX logo will still light up, and you can configure the different lighting options using NVIDIA software. And then at the back of the card, you'll see your video outs. You've got a couple dual-link DVIs, the HDMI, and the full-size DisplayPort. Full-size HDMI and full-size DisplayPort, which are very nice connection options. Internally, we're basing this card on 5 graphics processing clusters. It's still using the same architecture. Again, it's still based on the GK110 that you recognize from the Titan. We have 15 streaming multiprocessors, and that gives us a total of 2,880 CUDA cores, more so than the 780 or the Titan. You also get 960 double precision CUDA cores. So, heck, I don't know what NVIDIA is thinking, or if they're planning on selling any more Titans, because at the price that this card is, which is $700 at launch, it's pretty much going to smack the Titan around. You'll see that coming up in the benchmarks here. 240 texture units, 48 ROP units, and then we're running at a base clock of 875 megahertz, a boost clock of 928 megahertz, and you will see frequencies beyond that thanks to GPU Boost 2.0. The memory is running at 7,000 megahertz. You get 3 gigs of it. It's GDDR5 memory, of course, and it's on a 384-bit memory interface. It gives you a total memory bandwidth of 336 gigabytes per second. A texture filtering rate of 210 gigatexels per second, and this is still based on the 28 nanometer fabrication process that is also known as the Kepler architecture. You get 7.1 billion transistors in this card. It's a dual slot form factor, and they're recommending a 600 watt power supply at minimum for this card in your entire system. The TDP of the card itself is 250 watts. Out of the box, the card is going to run at about 80 to 83 degrees Celsius. That is its temperature target, so that's what it's going to try to hit. And next up, we're going to look at some benchmarks as promised. I'm also going to talk a little bit about overclocking, and the overclocking was kind of added late to this video, which is why you might notice I don't mention it at the end of the video. I'm only going to talk about it now. But here's a look at my Precision X settings from the EVGA Precision X utility. I did a really quick overclock on this. I did not have much time to mess with the settings. I had kind of an idea in my head that I went for, and I was able to find out that the 780 Ti really overclocks like a dream, or at least the one that we have does. I was able to get a 20% GPU overclock. So basically I took it from 876 to 1076, and the boost clock went all the way up to 1,219 megahertz. So that was pretty huge. I did a little bit on the memory too, a 5% memory overclock to get it up to 7400. And then when I actually ran my benchmarks, I was doing it so quickly I hit the wrong button, so I prioritized the power target rather than the temperature target. I was trying to do a temperature target of 88 degrees Celsius, but with my OC settings, the card maxed out at 85 degrees Celsius, so just a couple degrees hotter. Fan speed was pretty minimal, like not much difference from running the card at stock. And I got some pretty huge numbers, which you'll see in a second. I am going to include my 290X overclocked benchmark numbers as well. The 290X had a 5% memory overclock and a 7% GPU overclock, so the GPU on the 290X in these benchmarks was running at 1070. So here is all of the benchmarks, Kyle's on the 780 Ti and my benchmarks and my overclocked 780 Ti benchmarks. And I noticed there's a lot of talk lately about, should we show overclocked benchmarks or should we show stock or reference benchmarks? Well, I was like, hey, why not show both? That's what I'm going to do. So here you go. So now that you've taken a look at some benchmarks, it should be pretty clear. The 780 Ti is just about the fastest single GPU card that's currently available. That includes the GTX Titan, and it's definitely going beyond the performance of the 290X or whatever the 290X is capable of right now. Now that brings us to the next question, which is going to be price to performance or relative comparison, because that's always what you want, is the best bang for your buck. And as you might expect from a top tier card, NVIDIA is charging a top tier price. $700 for this card is their manufacturer's recommended price, and that's pretty expensive. This is definitely going to remain in the upper echelons of folks who make really high-end gaming systems. For the time being, it's going to be one of those cards that you lust after and maybe never ever get to actually mess around with. I'm lucky enough to have had one here, so big thanks to NVIDIA for providing us the cards for Newegg. And I guess if you want to leave me some feedback down in the comments section below, I'd like to hear what you think about this card, especially when you compare it to the 290X. The 290X has a lot going for it when it comes to price and performance, and the 290 at $400 is a really, really good value. So NVIDIA does have a lot of competition from AMD, even if AMD's top cards can't match the 780 Ti right now. But all that being said, I'd love to hear your feedback, so go ahead and leave me some down in the feedback section below. A like or a dislike or a comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Thanks a lot for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.